this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little bracelet. I haven't decided what to call it yet. Maybe I'll call it a little cup bracelet or something. So this is what this looks like on the wrist. What I have done is I've created a double unit on the top here so that I could make a loop that would go into the ridge that's created when you make a double unit, and make my own clasping because I didn't have a clasp that would match nicely with the beads I wanted to use. So all you have to do is take that off. You can put your own clasping however you want. If you don't like the loop clasp, which a lot of people don't because they're not terribly secure, but you can make a different, you can put whatever clasping you want on it. But this is how it looks off the wrist, and I want to get it a little closer and show you. They're like little cups. It just turns out really nice, and the units have lots of flexibility because we haven't put them directly on top of each other. We make a little like in between unit, and it just works out really well. You can see the side here, the top. And so that's what that looks like. I think it's a really cute design. Be great for stacking, and it works really nice. The loop works nice. Again, you don't have to use the loop, but I'm gonna slide it on here so you can see how that works. It just goes right into the ridge that we create when we make a double unit here. So that's what we're going to make today, and let's go ahead and look at the material list and get started. Okay, for this project today, we will be using 4mm round or 4x3 rondelles. Either one will work, and this is a crystal that is green half magma. So that's what I'm going to be using, and mine is 4mm round. However, like I said, a 4x3 works really well in this too, and it'll give you more color options if you can use whichever size. So keep in mind that both of them work. Then I'm going to be using some Toho seed beads. I have a 15-0 and an 11-0, and they're both Montana Gold. I'm going to be using a size 12 beading needle and some 6-pound Fireline in the smoke color. If you have very, very light beads, then go ahead and use a very light thread like the crystal color. However, if you're using anything that has a little bit darker tone to it, use the smoke Fireline because it blends in better. Otherwise, you will see a lot of thread on your project if you use a very contrasting color of thread. You'll notice I do not have a clasp out. I'm going to try to make a nice little closure with the beads because I don't have a clasp that will match the color of my beads really well. But you can, of course, use a clasp on your piece if you would like. So let's go ahead and get started with this project. Okay, to start this project, put 4 to 5 feet of thread onto your needle. Know that during this project you will need to extend your Fireline, and I will post a link to a video that will show you how to do that in the description box beneath the video player. If you do not know how, reference that video. We're going to start by putting 8 11-0 seed beads onto our needle, and then we're going to bring them down to the end of the thread here. You don't have to leave a long tail, but you do need to leave enough to hold on to and tie a knot. From the tail side, we're going to go up 2 beads. We're going to hold on to those 2 beads, hold on to the tail thread, and we are going to pull our thread through. But your beads will pull into a circle like this, and then we're going to sew all the way around until we get to our tail thread, and then we'll tie a knot. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sewing through my beads here. And I like to do 2 at a time. Kind of helps me retain the shape I want to a point. And then now I have my working thread and my tail thread together. I'm going to cross my working thread over my tail thread and bring the tail through the loop and pull a knot down between the beads. So this is what we have. I'm just going to trim this tail a little bit just to keep it out of my way, but I don't want to trim it down all the way because it could slip. Now this is what we have. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew down 2 beads at a time until we get to these 2, what I'm going to call bottom beads here. So we'll have 2 top, 2 side, 2 bottom, and then 2 on the other side. So now we're going to go down into 2 here, and then we're going to go into the 2 on the bottom, just like this. Pick up 2 11-0 seed beads onto your needle, and then we're going to go back into the opposite side of the 2 we're coming out of. So we're coming out of these 2, we're going to go into this side here, just like this. Let me get you in a little closer, and we're going to pull these 2 beads down. So just hold on to your little loop circle and pull these 2 down, just like this. Then go into the 2 that you just put on here. Hold on to the whole piece between your thumb and your finger, give a little tug. Then go back into the 2 that you're attaching to, just like this. And then we are going to have to look at my design here to make sure what I did. Yeah, we're going to do one more set. So we're going to go into this set here, the new set that we just put on, and we're going to pick up 2 more 11-0 seed beads. And go into the opposite side here. Pull these down so it looks like this, and then we're going to go back through those beads again. So just put your thumb and finger together, give a little tug, go into the 2 you're attaching to, and then we're going to sew back into our original 2 here. Actually, let's secure this one more time. Let's go through this bottom set here one more time just to make sure it's nice and secure. There. And now we're going to sew into the original 2 we've attached to, right here. So now we're coming out of these 2. I'm just going to straighten my beads up a little bit, just like this, so that it's obvious what set is what. So here's my side set, my other side set, and my top beads. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and then I'm going to pick up a crystal, and these crystals are hard for me to see the hole, so be patient with me. There we go. And then another 15-0. So just like this, 15-0 crystal, 15-0. I'm coming out of this set on this side. I'm going to go into the opposite set on the top here on the same side. So I'm going to go into these 2 beads right here. And I'm going to hold onto the piece, and I'm just going to pull my thread until I can pop this set of 3 beads on top of the circle, like this. Then I'm going to turn my piece, I'm going to pick up a 15-0, and I'm going to attach the other side of the crystal now. So I'm coming out of this side, I'm going to pick up a 15-0, go into the hole of my crystal, hold onto my crystal, and pull this down. Get that tail out of my way, and give it a little tug, just like this. Now I need to attach the bottom side, so I'm going to pick up a 15-0, and I'm going to find the beads right here underneath the set that's in the circle, not any of the other sets we added, and I'm going to go through it right here. Pull this 15-0 down and tighten it. And you should have something that looks like this. Now we're going to go up into this 15-0 right underneath where we're coming out. So we want to make sure our thread is coming out of this side of the 15-0. So we're going to go in from that side, making sure that we don't twist that 15-0. We want it to be nice and straight. So I'm just going to hold onto my piece and pull my thread through that 15-0. Now I'm going to pick up 2 15-0 seed beads, and I'm going to go into the 15-0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Let's see if we can get a little closer here. And Making sure that 15-0 isn't twisted, I want to go through it so that it's nice and straight, just like this. So you're not crossing over and going through the opposite side of the hole. You want to go through the side that will straighten it up and make it lay nice, just like this. Now we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. And we're going to go up to this 15-0 that we anchored our crystal with, right here. Making sure we're going through the proper side, because sometimes those 15-0s are twisted and you want to untwist it if it is. You can just straighten it out with your needle. And pull those 3 15-0s down, just like this. Pick up 2 15-0 seed beads, and then go into the other anchoring 15-0 on the other side of the bead here, just like this. Again, make sure it's not twisted. Hold on to your entire piece between your thumb and your finger and just pull that down. Now we need to anchor from this 15-0 back to the one we started in. So we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. So on the sides, when we're going the longer distance, it's 3 15-0s. When we're going between the anchoring beads, then it'll be 2. So 3 15-0s, we're going to go into the 15-0 we started in and the 2 behind it here. And pull this down. Now I want to go into the 15-0 that I'm anchored to. So I'm going to go into this one here, right here. Pull this down. I'm going to turn my piece over and I'm going to go into this first set of the 11-0s that we've done the ladder stitch on. So we're just going to go into the set that's in the circle here. This is going to be our clasping unit, so it's going to be done a little bit differently than the rest of the units. This is going to be a double-sided unit. So we're coming out of these two. We're going to do the same thing we just did on this side. So we're going to pick up a 15-0, and then we're going to pick up a round bead and a 15-0. Now, if you're just going to use a clasp, then you don't have to do this part, but you can just wait until I start the main units and do it, and then attach your clasp. But this is going to be included beaded clasp. So I've got my 15-0, my 4mm round, and my 15-0, and I'm going to go directly up. I'm coming out of these two beads. I'm going to go into the top two of my original unit here, just like this, going from the same side that I'm coming out of on the opposite set. And I'm just going to pull this down and push it up over the top, just like this. Now it's just messy and weird right now. You want to make sure that your 15-0s on the other side do not get loose, and make sure that everything's nice and straightened up. And I'm just really dropping this guy. There we go. So we've got half of it anchored. We're going to pick up a 15-0, and we're going to anchor the other half, just like we did on the other side. So go through the bead, hold on to it, pull it down, and then again pick up a 15-0 and go through the opposite side of the two beads we started in. So let me move these down so I can show you right here. I'm going to hold on to these two and go through them and pull this tight. Now this first one is just hard to hold on to, guys. It's just difficult to hold on to, so it makes it a little bit fidgety, but once you get past this, it's just pretty easy. It travels through pretty good. Now we're coming out of this bottom set right here of the 11-0s that we have a ladder stitch on. We're going to come up into the 15-0 from that side to make sure we straighten out that 15-0, and we're going to pull this through. Now we're going to pick up two 15-0 seed beads, and we're going to go into the 15-0 next to the one that we're coming out of. So right here, this other anchoring bead, and just figure out which way you should go through it so that it'll lay properly. And I think it should be from the inside here. So I'll just grab a hold of that and go through it, just like this. And pull these down. And see if I can get even a little closer here so you can see. So I've gone from this one to this one and put the two 15-0s in between. Now I'm going to pick up three 15-0s onto my needle, and I'm going to travel up into this 15-0 here, making sure that it's not twisted. Then I'm just going to put it between my thumb and finger here, hold it tight, and pull it through. Now I'm coming through this one. I have to come through this one next, right here, the anchoring 15-0. So I'm going to pick up two, and then I'm going to come through this 15-0 here and pull this down. Just like that. Now I'm going to pick up three 15-0s, and I'm going to come through the anchoring bead I started in and the three behind it if I can, but I can only go through the two behind it. So I'm going to go through two, and I'm going to pull this. Then I'm going to go into that anchoring bead again, right here. And I'm going to hold on to it, pull my thread through, and make sure everything looks good on both sides. And then I'm going to go back into those three 11-0s that I'm attached to. So I have to go into the, or two 11-0s, excuse me, into the two that are in the original circle, underneath the two that I just added, right there. Okay, pull this through. Then I'm going to sew down this set here, the second set right here, and then I'm going to sew into the third set. So what we've done is we've made a little double-sided unit here that we can draw a thread around with 15-0s on to close our bracelet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut this down a little bit, and I'm going to melt this in, blob it down there, and this is what you should have. That's what it should look like. And you can do a little less of a blob than I did. I guess it blended in pretty good, not great. All right, so this is where we're going to start the actual bracelet stitch now. We're coming out of these two 11-0s right here. We're going to pick up 6 11-0s this time to start our unit because we are sharing two. Each unit will have 8 beads in it. However, like I said, we already have 2 that we're working out of. So we are going to pick up 6 this time. So we're coming out of this side of the set of 2 here. We're going to go into the opposite side with our 6 seed beads, and we're just going to pull this into a circle just like this. Now we're going to sew down into these 2 on the side here. So you're coming out of the 2 you're attached to, go into just 2. Pull your thread through. Now go into 2 more. So it will be the 2 bottom ones if you look at this as a square instead of a circle. So the 2 bottom here, I'm going to pull through. And then I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads. and I'm going to go into the opposite side of the beads that I'm coming out of. So I want to go back into these two here, right there. And then I'm going to pull them through, and they should lay nice on top. And we want to secure these because this is where we'll start our next unit once we finish this one. So we're going to sew into the two new ones we put on, hold on to them and tag, go back into the two that we are attaching to here. And now we're ready to put our crystal on. So I've got it shaped in a little square like this so I can see exactly what I'm doing. So I have these two beads here. I need to anchor into the opposite two. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, and then I'm going to pick up a crystal, and then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, just like this. And I'm going to go into the opposite set on the same side from which I'm exiting this side here. And I'm just going to pull this down and guide the beads up over the top of the little square we made, just like this, and pull it down until there's not any slack, and then you're going to pick up a 15-0. Go through that crystal again, right through the middle here, put your thumb and finger over it, and pull that 15-0 down. Give it a little tug, and now we're coming out of the bottom of the crystal here. We're going to pick up a 15-0, and we're going to anchor to the opposite side of the beads we're coming out of. So not this extra set that we put on. We're going to go into the set in the original circle we made, right there, or square, whatever you want to call it. Pull this down so it's nice and tight and everything looks good, just like this. Now, let me see if I can get even a little closer here. We are going to come from this bead that we're coming out of in the original square. We're going to come up into the 15-0 here. And we're going to come from the outside in. So if I'm holding this like this, I'm coming from the outside in to make sure that my bead is in the proper direction and my thread isn't going to turn it. Now I'm going to pick up two 15-0 seed beads, and I'm going to go into the bead next to it, making sure that it's not twisted, and I'm going through to where it'll line up nice with the beads I just put on, like this. Okay, so we went from this one to this one with two seed beads. Now we're going to go from this one to this one with three 15-0 seed beads. So pick up three 15-0s and go into this one here. Just make sure that it's not twisted and you're coming in from the wrong side of the hole. You want it to line up nice when you pull these through. Pull this down. Now we're going to pick up two 15-0s and go into the 15-0 next to the one we're coming out of. So we're going to go into this anchoring bead here. Again, minding the way it's positioned so that the beads lay nice on top of it, just like this. Now we have to pick up three 15-0s and go into this 15-0 we started in. So we're going to pick up three, and we're going to go into this 15-0 here. Let me reposition my hand into this one here. And then we're going to pull these down nice and tight. And we're going to go into the beads behind it until we come out of the anchoring bead on this side. Just like this. Now that you're in that anchoring 15-0, the one that you started in, or the original one that's attaching your bead, you're going to turn to the side and you're going to go into the original set that you attached your crystals to. So you have these four sets of double 11-0s. You're going to go through that original one, not the two that we just added. Pull the thread through, and then come up through the set that we added right there. And that is the unit. That's what that's going to look like. It encases the bead perfectly and bezels it. You can see how nice and neat the bottom is. You can see that the sides are nice. Everything looks good. So now we're going to make one more unit. I'm going to stay in close, see if I can stay in camera. We're going to make another unit so that you can get the idea down. This is very repetitive. From this point, we will make each unit exactly the same way. So we're going to pick up 6 11-0 seed beads onto our needle, because we have 2 to work through to make our 8. So we're picking up 6. We're going to go into the opposite side from which we're coming out of this set here, and we're going to pull them through. Just like that. Now we're going to sew up through these 2 and then through these 2. So 2 at a time to make our little square. So we're going to go through these 2 here, pull your thread through, go through these 2 here, pull your thread through, and then pick up 2 11-0 seed beads. Now we're going to make the beginning of our next unit here. So we're going to add 2 11-0s to this set. We're going to go into the opposite side from which we're coming out of and hold on to that set and pull the thread through. Now you have a set laying on top of your bottom set in your square. Go through the 2 new beads and then go back up through the beads you're attaching to right here. Now, just to make sure that we have an extra pass of thread through these beads too, we're going to go up through them, and from now on we will start connecting our bead through this top unit here. So you've sewn through this set. After putting these on, you're sewing through this top set here, and this is where we will start anchoring right here. That ensures that the entire thing has a double run of thread through it. Now we're going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and then we're going to pick up a crystal. And these crystals are so hard for me to see the hole. Be patient with me, guys, sorry. There we go. The opaque crystals are just, and the translucent, anything. I can't see the holes. So here we have 15-0 and then crystal 15-0. We're coming out at this side. We're going to go into this side of the unit on the opposite side here, just like this. I'm going to hold on to it and pull until I can pop these beads on top of the little square we made, just like this. Get them nice and neat, the best you can. And then pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and now we're going to go into the crystal again. So we're going to go directly up through the crystal like this. I'm going to hold on to it, pull, making sure my 15-0 is down nice and neat and straight, and not necessarily straight but tight. And then I'm going to pick up another 15-0, and I have to go into the set that I'm anchoring to. So the set between the 2 units here, and pull this tight. And this is what we have. Now we need to come up into this 15-0. So we're coming out from the outside of the unit here. We're going to go into the 15-0 from the outside like this, so it'll straighten it up and make it in line for our next embellishment here. Now we're coming out of this 15-0 here, pick up 2 15-0s and go into the next 15-0 and line it up. Make sure you're going through it the proper way. You're not crossing over, going through the opposite side of the hole. You'll know if you do, because they won't lay nice like this. They'll be all weird. So just like that. Now that we've done the top two, we've gone through the top two, we pick up 3 on the sides. So we'll pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. And we'll go from this 15-0 to this anchoring 15-0 here. Making sure that we're coming from the proper side of the hole, just like that. Pull this down. Give a little tug. Pick up 2 15-0s now. And go into the 15-0 next to the one you're coming out of. So we're just working in those 4 anchoring 15-0s. Pull this down. And now you can see that I have most of my embellishment done. I am now going to pick up 3 15-0s. And I'm going to go into this 15-0 up here. So I'm going to go through it and the 2 behind it, just like this. Pull these down. Now I have a nice little round bezel. Now I need to go into my anchoring 15-0 here, the one that we originally put on when we put our crystal on, and go through it. And then we are going to go into the beads behind it. And then we'll sew down to the bottom here by going through the back. So we're coming out of this set, we'll go through this set, and then we'll go through this set. Now, if we started from the bottom to anchor our bead, then we would have been in the bottom. So you can do that if you'd like, but I sewed up to the top simply to make sure I had enough thread in my unit. In my base unit. So you can position it to where you don't have to sew through it, but I don't mind sewing through it again. So I've put my bead on from the top of the unit, and then I have to sew back down to get to my next unit. So now I'm coming out of the original set of 2 11-0s. I'm going to come into the set that I created secondary. Pull everything tight, make sure everything looks good, and that is your second unit right there. You see how cute they just bezel up, so pretty, just like that. And the colors that I've chosen makes it look kind of vintage, so I like the look of it. Now we're going to pick up for our next unit. We'll do one more unit, and then you can always back up the video if you need to watch it a couple more times to get the pattern down. We're going to pick up 6 of our 11-0s, and then go into the opposite side of the 2 we're coming out of. Pull this tight, sew through 2 of the 11-0s, and then sew through the next 2 of the 11-0s in your unit here. Okay, pick up an 11-0 or a 15-0 and pick up 2 11-0s. Forgot what I was doing for a second. So we're coming out of the bottom 2 here, pick up 2 11-0s, and then go into the opposite side of the 2 11-0s you're coming out of. Pull these down, and then go into the 2 11-0s you just put on from this side. And then go into the 2 original again, just like this. Now they're secure. Sew up this side. And then just to make our lives easier, let's go ahead and sew all the way down to the bottom. Instead of anchoring from the top here, let's sew down to the bottom 2 and put our crystal on. That way when we're finished, we're on the bottom and we can just move on. So let's sew down 2, and then let's go into these 2 here. So we've just worked our way all the way around the unit. We're coming out of the 2 bottom beads, and then we're going to pick up a 15-0, and we're going to pick up a crystal, and a 15-0, like this. We're coming out of this side here. We're going to go into the opposite set of the two right across here on the same side we're coming out of. Pull this down, push it over, give a little tug, pick up a 15-0, go back through the crystal. You position this a little better here, guys. And then I'll go through the crystal here. Pull this 15-0 into place while I'm holding on to it, and then pick up another 15-0 and go into the two anchoring beads beneath it, right here. Pull the 15-0 up, and now we're coming out of the outside of the bottom unit here. We're going to come up through the 15-0 seed bead from the outside in, like this, and pull. Now we're going to pick up two 15-0 seed beads, and we're going to go into the 15-0 next to the one we're coming out of, making sure it's not twisted, and pull through and lay those nice and neat right there. Now pick up three 15-0 seed beads and come up through this 15-0 from the outside in, just like this. Pull this down, and now we need to add two 15-0s between these two 15-0s. So we pick up two 15-0s and we go into this 15-0 from the inside out this time, like this. Pull this down. Then we need to pick up three 15-0s. Go down into the three 15-0s, grab the one you originally anchored to, and then go through two behind it. Just like this. And pull. Now we need to go into that one that we anchored in originally from the inside out, and then we're going to go into this set of 11-0s. So it's the set that's in your original square. Go into them. I just turn it over so you can see it better, and then go into the new set we just added, and you're ready to make your next unit. So this is what you should have so far, and you can see just how cute it is. And the way we're putting it together, it gives it a nice little joint in between, so it has nice flexibility. It feels almost like a linked metal piece. It's really nice the way it comes together. So just continue making these units exactly how I have shown you. It's very repetitive from this point, and continue making them until you have 23 units, not counting the first one we made that's double-sided for the clasping. We're going to make 23 in the body here. Now this is right about 7 inches. By the time I finish it, it will be a little over 7 inches, perhaps 7.5. Now you can make it to any length that you want. Just leave it about a ½ an inch short, and then you will end up with the length that you want. Now if you do not want to do the closure here, then you're just going to start with your first unit in the body, and you will make sure that you have a ladder stitch. We added the two little extra beads on either side. You will make sure you have a ladder stitch on both sides, and then you'll work out of the ladder stitch to put your clasping on, and then you'll make the body of your bracelet. So basically what you'll have, this is my last unit, you'll have something that looks like this with a ladder stitch on this side and a ladder stitch on this side of the unit. And then you can work through your ladder stitch to put on a clasp by picking up an 11-0 and then maybe a crystal. You could use an 8-0, 11-0, and an 8-0 would probably be the best. Let me see if I have an 8-0 close by here somewhere. It's not going to be the right color, but I'll just show you basically how you're going to put your clasping on Those are not 8/0s. Let me see if I have an 8/0. And that way you will know how to put a clasp on if you would like to. So here's an 8/0. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, drop it down to my last ladder stitch here. This is how you're going to start it too. Ladder stitch on either side so that you can make your body, and then a ladder stitch for this side to put on your clasp. So you're going to have an 11/0, 8/0 clasp, and then you're going to go back through your 8/0. I'm trying to use my left hand. I don't know why I'm doing that. So 11/0, 8/0 clasp, go back through your 8/0, pick up an 11/0, and then go back through your ladder stitch on this side. So that will be your clasping, and you'll just sew up through that a couple of times and you'll have a clasp. So since I'm not doing that, I'm going to take this all apart, and I am going to re-thread my needle, and we are going to make our closure on this end. Okay, so to make our loop closure to go around the first double-sided bead we made, you are going to pick up 2 11/0 seed beads, and then you're going to pick up 27 15/0 seed beads. You're coming out of your double unit on the end here. So after you make your last unit, make sure that you have a double unit on the bottom here. And then after you've put on your 2 11/0s and your 27 15/0s, then you're going to come through the first 11/0, or the 11/0 closest to you. So the 11/0 closest to the last unit, you will ignore. Let me get you in a little closer here. And so I'm coming through this second 11/0 on my thread here. And I'm just going to ignore all the 15/0s and the other 11/0, and I'm just going to pull this down, just like this. Then I'm going to pick up another 11/0 seed bead, and I'm going to go through the opposite side of the 11/0s I'm coming out of, like this, and pull this down until you get something that looks like this. Now we're going to sew back up through this a couple of times. I'm hoping I have enough thread left here. So we're going to go up into the 11/0 next to the 11/0 that we're coming out of right here. And then we're going to go up through that 11/0 above it, kind of at an angle, and we're just going to go in a diagonal all the way up as many of these 15/0s as we can. And then we're just going to continue where we left off. So all the way through, again, all of these beads. And again, we'll pick up where I left off. Make sure you don't miss any of those little 11/0s. And then come back through the 11/0 that you went through, the second 11/0 here, one center, and pull this through. And I'm about to lose my thread. Let me fix that. And then we are going to go into the 11/0 on this side here, opposite from which we started. Then we're going to go back through the 11/0 ladder stitch here. Now you can sew up through that a couple of times if you'd like to make sure it's nice and secure. Just make sure as you come through to straighten them out so that they're not all bunched up. And do that one more time. I'm just going to go ahead and tie off because I'm short on thread and the video is getting long. So after you've gone through it one more time, then you're going to be coming out of your 11/0s here. We're going to go into under the thread bridge between these two sets. Oops, excuse me. These two sets of 11/0s here. So essentially, I have the 11/0s I added, and then I have the 11/0s on my unit. I'm going between those two sets, just like this. And I'm going to make a loop, go through it, and tie a knot. And then I'm going to go into the set, attach to my unit, pull everything tight, unbunch it so that they lay nice and pretty. And then I am going to go into the thread bridge here between the unit itself and the ladder stitch. So I'm coming out of this set here, going to go into the thread bridge or under the thread bridge right here. And pull it into a loop, go through the loop, and pull the thread down. And then I can just sew into the back of my unit. So I'm coming out on the thread bridge here. I can go into here. And then I can go down into a couple beads here and sew through. You can grab a couple more thread bridges and make a couple more knots if you'd like. I just wound my thread around my loop here. And then I'm going to sew down into this one, and I think I'll just cut it off. You can sew through as much as you want, following your original thread path, and make it as secure as you would like. Now I'm going to cut this down, and then I'm going to melt this in here. And there's my loop. And now I can bring this around, and I'm just going to hook it around the top layer of 15 O's like this. See how it fits into the groove of that first unit there? That's how we're going to do that. Now if you'd like to, you can bring it all the way down like this, a little bit more secure, however you'd like to do, but that should hold fairly well. I'm going to go ahead and put it on and see what we've got here. See if it will. And like I said, you can use any clasping you'd like. Some people don't like these little loop clasps because they're not very secure, and that's perfectly understandable. But you can see now I have it on, and it stays on. I mean, it's good. I have it around the first, it's between the 11 O's and the 15 O's on that first unit. It's a double unit, and it has a little ridge inside there so that I can put my clasping on it. So this is what this looks like. Let me get all my weird stuff out of the way here and show you what it looks like on the wrist. And these are really stackable and really nice, and this is what the clasping looks like. It's really cute, and like I said, if you want to drop it down further you can, but I kind of designed it to go in the ridge there like that. And this is what this looks like, and I think it's really, really, really cute. Just adorable. Just adorable. And this would be really cute in all kinds of different colors. They're very stackable because they're very dainty, petite little pieces, and I hope you like it. And if you do, please consider subscribing and perhaps hitting the notification bell so we can make more videos together. And that's that. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.